Semper Fi tattooed on his left arm. Spent a little more in the store for a tag. In the back it says USA. Won't buy nothing at EK Fix. With WD-40 and a Craftsman wrench. He ain't president. He's just being.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Sean. Thank you. I'm honored to be here on your 1-year anniversary. I was honored to be here at your inauguration. I really wish that it would have been my inauguration as governor. God had other plans. And I gotta tell you, I am strangely hopeful and optimistic. And that's in spite of the fact that the government, the very government charged with protecting our natural rights, with safeguarding our liberties, has become the greatest threat. But see, the good news is that so many Americans have woken up and are waking up on a daily basis. And they're not in the media. They're not being interviewed on television, but they're being talked to on porches. I can tell you that because I'm talking to them. And I can tell you that because a lot of the people that I'm talking to aren't supposed to talk to me. You know, in the past they've been able to keep us separated by race, or class, or all these different classifications. Political party, that's the big one, right? You're not supposed to talk to Democrats. Well, let me tell you something fascinating. Because I've been knocking doors. I have a flyer. I actually handed them all off tonight and didn't bring it because I'm a little embarrassed, but I do have a card, so I'm going to sort of really pass it down. But right on the card, you'll notice it says Patriot, not politician. And I was on a Democrat's doorstep in Highland. And he looked at that and says, "What does that mean?" I said, "It means I'm the insurgent candidate against the political establishment." And he said, "Ooh, I like that." And then he flipped my card over. It's not going to be on your little business card there, but the walk piece of me. And he looked on the back and he said, "You want to abolish the IRS? What do you want to replace it with?" I said, "I don't know, technology, like a credit card company uses. They process billions and billions of transactions. They don't try to make their customers comply. They don't go out and audit people because they don't like their political beliefs, but that's what the IRS did. They audited anyone associated with Tea Party because you're a dangerous force." By the way, I was at a meeting earlier tonight. They don't believe you still exist. I said, "I'm going to the 1-year anniversary prior to the Tea Party." It's like, you know, I thought there was a piece of cake. Well, I had a birthday. I'm not going to admit I turned 50. Yes, the big 50 last Monday. And, oh my gosh, I'm already a week in. That's scary. And I forgot, I planned the thing, was sort of running it, and I forgot to wish myself a happy birthday because it wasn't on the agenda. But what I want you to understand is as I'm on people's porches, it's not just about whether they're going to vote for Tim Donnelly, even though this particular individual said, he asked me a couple questions about the guy who was in there, and when I explained to him that he had voted for the $1.1 trillion omnibus, when I explained what was in that, and I started with the area where I thought we'd have the most common ground, because he's a Democrat, he's not going to care about every issue I care about, so I'm not going to shove that in his face. I said he voted to bring 300,000 refugees under Obama's refugee resettlement program here, and we have no pay. Before the Constitution guarantees us a Republican form of government. That doesn't mean the Republican Party. Maybe some of them think that's the case, but Republican means obviously Republic, of the Republic, which is what we are, a constitutional republic, which means that you get to have a voice. Now, through a representative. It's not direct democracy. But you're guaranteed a voice. And as a matter of fact, prior to them saying that they guarantee a Republican form of government, they say that the federal government shall keep each state free from invasion. So what do you want to do if you want to undermine the republic? Foment an invasion. Encourage and incentivize an invasion. Is this something familiar to anybody? About what's happening in California? Where was I when I was talking about this? I've been so many places. I was up in the high desert at the event where they have Chris Toronto from Benghazi. And I was talking at a table with somebody who said that they couldn't believe how much free stuff we are giving to people who come into the country illegally, to the point that they're literally coming here from other states. Forget about coming from other countries. They're already illegally in the country, but they're coming to California. You see, so if your government is encouraging people to come in, and you might say, well, they don't have the right to vote. Well, thanks to guys like Gavin Newsom, they do. And not only that, the motor voter in the new law in California, they're automatically registered. I assume they're automatically registered Democrat. But we can't get them to answer that question. We do know, and I know from being the vice chairman of elections in the state of California in the Assembly, that if somebody does not check the box that I am affirming that I am a U.S. citizen, we put them on the voter rolls. Now, does that seem like a logical thing to you? Or do you think maybe we should be sending it back to them and saying, hey, by the way, are you a U.S. citizen or not? I mean, if you filled out a form and you screwed it up and you left something blank, especially if you were applying for a business license or if you were applying for a permit to build something, they say, look, the deadline has passed, you need to pay us the fee all over again, and you need to check the box, right? But when somebody in the country illegally does it, because it serves their purpose, and their purpose is very simple, and you guys, by showing the video, stole a bunch of my thunder and pretty much my whole speech. But it all boils down to one simple thing. It's about control. It's about control. And fomenting and incentivizing an illegal invasion of this country to a group of people that then all the politicians pander because they consider them to be the next voting class. Who loses out? All of us. Every one of us that is an American citizen, we lose when our vote is diluted by people who are not citizens. And because literally many of these people, the entire classification, don't even have the right to vote, and yet they're considered to be the swing vote. And then when you look at what they're voting for to take away our Second Amendment, well, December 2nd, 2015 changed everything. Literally. We went from maybe being asleep to all of a sudden being wide awake. And the bottom line is that a lot of people woke up the next day and realized we're at the front lines. We are the front lines. So we got to change our mindset. We've got to adopt a patriot mindset and understand that in that 4 minutes that it took for our wonderful sheriff's department to get there, and I applaud them, they do great work. And I like seeing our sheriff talk about the Second Amendment and be constitutional, but I think that's a wonderful thing. But the only problem is in 4 minutes, if somebody walked into this room with the weapons they had, in 4 minutes, everyone would be dead. And the government, and it doesn't matter whether it's Barack Hussein Obama, who came on my television when I was trying to figure out who the killers were. When I lived right up the hill, literally up the same road, Waterman goes right up into the mountains and comes right to my street. And when I was laying out 4 rifles from my arsenal, trying to figure out what I would shoot back with, and realizing it was going to have to be a headshot, wanting to know that I had as many rounds in that magazine as possible. You know why? Not because I want to have a scary looking gun, not because I want to go commit a crime. I want as many chances at life. And I selected a gun that's actually an antique. It's an M1 carbine. It's a short-barreled rifle that was carried in the Pacific and it contains 15 rounds. And Gavin Newsom wants to make that gun illegal. But see, everybody gets caught up in that. Gavin Newsom wants to outlaw buy a gun. And what happens when he does that? He gets you all focused and distracted. Gavin Newsom doesn't want to just get rid of just your gun. He doesn't want to get rid of just your gun, even though I would, because you're very dangerous looking. And definitely Joe over here, I would take his guns away too. They want to erase the Second Amendment. They want to eliminate us passing that down to the next generation, to the young people. Because when you understand the power of the Second Amendment, when you understand the power of those 26 words, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. There was a reason they said it that way, because they saw it as the key to freedom, the key to living as a free people. And if you surrender that, and we are surrendering at a death of 1,000 cuts, and pretty soon, enough people, we've seen it in other countries, may be willing to surrender it all. And once that happens, every one of these socialistic programs they have, every one of these programs that are about government control, and believe me, every program is about government control, will be successful in stripping the greatest nation on earth, the greatest people on the face of the earth, of the most freedom that has ever been transferred in the history of the world. So you see, the threat that we're facing is twofold. And the first threat is political correctness. The second threat is having a government that can break the rules with impunity, like they did with the immigration system. So they let Tafshin Malik in, but they won't let my friend in from Australia who wants to come to this country. They let Tafshin Malik in with no vetting whatsoever, even though 10 to 13% of Muslims worldwide, that's the lowest number, some believe it's higher, have said that they believe they have a right to kill anyone who doesn't agree with their religion and is not as zealous as they are. Well, I'm sorry. I don't want to go to another funeral. Certainly not a funeral of a 37-year-old father of 6. So, right there, the battleground now is immigration. And the danger is the political correctness. Because that's where they get everybody. Because nobody wants to be called a racist. Well, I got news for you. If your candidate is not being called a racist, if your candidate is not being called a homophobe, and if your candidate is not being called an Islamophobe in 2016, you've got the wrong candidate.
That's right.
Not because they're racist, not because they're homophobic, and not because they're Islamophobic, but because they're awake, and because they're paying attention, and because they refuse to be divided. They will stand up for everyone's freedom. And that's the bottom line, and that's why when I'm on porches right now, I don't know what is in the air. I don't know what Donald Trump has done to this country. But I'm telling you that when I am on porches, there are more Democrats than Republicans that I have so far talked to that are voting for Donald Trump. And there's something about the exposing of the corruption. And almost everyone leads out by saying, well, I don't agree with everything he says. Who does? And this is not me saying anything other than expressing the facts as they are. And the political correctness that has strangled off our freedom. The political correctness, Sheriff McMahon is incorrect when he says that Syed Farouk was not a person of any interest. He was a person of peripheral interest in an investigation in 2012 by the Department of Homeland Security. The Department of Homeland Security has a Department of Civil Rights. The Department of Civil Rights said we can't profile these individuals because we profile them as being part of an Islamic group. So we're going to shred all the evidence and we're going to let them free. and we're going to stop spying on them. Well, you know what Syed Farouk's best friend, Enrique Morales, is telling us? You know what he wanted to do, right? He wanted to walk into a room like this, and he wanted to take one of those illegally modified weapons that he legally somehow bought and dodged around all the gun laws in California, and spray as many bullets as he could, and slaughter as many innocent people as he could. And he wanted to do this in a gun-free zone. They always pick gun-free zones of a college campus called UCR. And then he wanted to go out onto the 91 freeway. How many of you have driven the 91 freeway? Come on, everyone, right? Admit it. Okay. So he wants to take pipe bombs, throw them out, create a blockade, and then he wants to have his buddy snipe the first responders, shoot them in the head as they come to help. You're going to have traffic jams and all this, and you're going to have a whole bunch of dazed people. And he was going to walk Quentin Tarantino style down and just begin executing people as he went. And if you were a law-abiding California gun owner who follows all the laws to the T, what would you be doing? Say that louder.
Be dead.
You'd be dying. And some of you would already be dead. Because what does California make you do? You gotta, you reach in for it, right? But it's locked up. Where's the key? Oh my gosh, I'm freaking out, right? I can't find the key. So number one, I'm in trouble. Number two, where are the bullets? In the trunk.
They're separate from the gun.
They gotta be in a separate compartment. How useful is that? So, I'm going around the state and I'm giving speeches. As a matter of fact, this weekend I'm speaking in Fresno to a lot of activists, and I'm going to give a more complete presentation than I'm giving here. The bottom line is, it all boils down to a simple concept. And you've got to ask yourself a question. Are we going to continue to ask ourselves what the government will allow us to do, and whether or not it's legal? Or are we going to begin to ask the important question of whether or not it is moral for the government that not only cannot, but will not protect us to deprive us of the right to protect ourselves? That's the question of 2016. It isn't about who's going to be president. It isn't even about my election. It's about whether or not we're going to begin thinking like a free people. And I can tell you what, and I say it unabashedly, and I don't care that there's a video camera on, I said it on air the same day that that terrorist attack happened to us. I care. I never begged the sheriff for permission. You're free to do so. I think it's a good idea to stay out of trouble. I'm not good at staying out of trouble. But I'll tell you what, the next time somebody comes in to a room like this, whether it's a church, school, or a workplace in a Christmas party, and decides that they want to slaughter innocent Americans, if I'm there, they're going to get hollow points for the head. And I don't miss anymore. I used to, because I didn't really take it seriously. The Second Amendment to me was theoretical. It was fun. It was target shooting. Now I train. And I train for what? It's very simple. Because the bottom line is, I intend to be the most deadly threat to evil. I also intend to be the most deadly threat to tyranny. Because that is the only way we're going to remain free. And that is why I'm grateful that you are here defending liberty, that you are here organizing, that you are here canvassing, that you are educating yourselves. But let us be clear. All of the 18,000 new laws they're trying to pass to take away our rights, none of them have anything to do with public safety. They have to do with stripping away the one thing that the government can't control, and that's your mind. Because once you begin to feel and think and act like a free person, you can't do that unless you're armed. But once you get to that point, they can't control you anymore, and you will not comply. So, I know you were probably hoping for some happy-go-lucky speech. Oh yeah, and I was supposed to say I'm running for Congress. Hey, by the way, I want to pass out a sign-up sheet because if you like what I'm saying and you want me to be saying it exactly the same way in the well of the house, instead of having some worthless barnacle, Beltway barnacle is what Michelle Malkin called my opponent. If you want to have somebody who will bring the truth and expose the truth and organize in the streets, that's what I do. But I can't get there alone because he's got millions of dollars. And I'm not hitting you up for money. If you want to give me money, go ahead. But, did you pass that out? Yeah, I've got a sign-up sheet. I need phone bankers. I need people who will commit to 1 hour a week. Just calling some voters and saying, I know Tim Donnelly. And this is who he is, and we'll give you a script. All you gotta do is give us an email and a phone number and a name, and we will arm you with the ability to send somebody there who will make a difference. Because you know what? I don't need to be a congressman. I'm going there to do something. And what I'm going there to do is not pass laws. We don't need any more damn laws. You know what we need? We need to feed and fuel the movement that used to be called the Tea Party, that's now called the insurgency. But we don't know. We were insurgents before it was cool. But you know what is awesome? We have a lot of Americans who are with us. And that insurgency is linked the right to the left. It's the people versus the political class. They think they can rule over us, but we got another thing coming. We're going to let them know that it is the people at whose consent they rule. Anyway, I don't know how to land this aircraft, so I'm just going to land it and say, God bless you and Godspeed.
Thank you.
It's a kid with a chance, it's a rock and roll band, it's a farmer cutting hay. It's a big flag